Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 4 of the anime series Orange. And the plot certainly thickens that much more in this episode, very much surrounding Kakeru. And, it's almost like the tables have turned in a sense, even though Naho is still very much reluctant to, confess her feelings to him and even approach him in some way, shape, or form. We are thoroughly seeing, even though Kakeru is making good on his promise to Ueda Senpai to continue dating her and seeing her, and she's very sort of glomming on to him and everything like that because of, I guess she feels like she's stuck in a country bumpkin-esque town, and here is a kid who is from Tokyo as well, so he'll understand where she's coming from, the big city girl in the country sort of backdrop that she now finds herself in. And it's very interesting to continue to see Kakeru looking longingly at Naho, like he so desperately wishes he could just have some alone time with her. He could confess his feelings perhaps to her. He is still holding over, as we find out through the course of this episode, the revelation, the note saying no, that Naho had put in his soccer shoes or whatever it was in his locker when, he basically had asked her, should I go out with Ueda Senpai and everything like that. And it's just quite interesting that the tables have turned along those lines, that he's looking so longingly at her. And it's very much still a matter for Naho to overcome her fears. And she's very much being confronted by, at every turn, having those fears vomited up right in her face, with Ueda just sort of constantly there every time Kakeru tries to call out to her or every time she tries to confront him. There is Ueda Senpai. And of course, you have a character like Takako who cannot stand this girl. She wants to punch her, and if it weren't for Suwa at one point, she might have, all this kind of stuff. And I find it highly intriguing that Takako is making vocal her sort of, I don't want to say distrust of Naho, but she suspects Naho is hiding something. She knows something more than what she's letting on, and it's beginning to bleed through in how she carries herself. She's always kind of off in her own world, thinking to herself and everything. And you have Azusa trying to convince her to buy these short shorts, and they'll both get matching pairs and everything. And they're questioning her about this, but because of her aloofness, because of her not coming out and just, being normal, I guess, in that she doesn't really like the shorts. She's kind of, I guess she bought them and she's got them hanging up in her room, or so she says. There are enough things going on in her demeanor that have Takako suspicious. And it lends to that speculation. I've talked with a couple of you guys in the comments over the past couple episode discussion videos. Who in this group, is there a chance that somebody else could have a letter from the future that they might also know what's going on? I mean, Suwa is sort of the, the one that stands out the most to me as far as being someone potentially who could be familiar with what's going on in the future. I mean, if they're husband and wife, Naho and Suwa, what's to stop Naho from having sent, that is, the future Naho, having sent a letter back to Suwa as well? And it seems like Azusa and Takako had put Suwa up to confronting Naho and giving her supportive words as far as going after Kakeru and everything like that. But what is that all about? Why would he suddenly have this confrontation with Naho? And it's one of those things where now that it's solidified, when we see the future equivalents of these characters, that Suwa and Naho are married with a child, it definitely has me noticing more so here and there little sort of, almost blink and you'll miss it sequences where Suwa is looking at Naho, does he have an interest in her already? Is this something that grows later out of the loss of Kakeru? Could it be that he has feelings for Naho in the here and now? And he's trying to be there for her as a friend, but also, much in the same way that Naho is afraid to confess her feelings to Kakeru. Could it be that Suwa, is afraid to confess the same for Naho? Or could it be that he's completely oblivious to her, and it's something, again, as I say, that grows later, perhaps out of the loss of their mutual friend Kakeru? They end up being there for each other. Who knows? But there are so many things like that going on in this series, and Naho feels that the future must be changing, yet we are seeing the future in glimpses that seem to prove that nothing has yet changed. even though finally, by the end of this episode, we have a thorough confrontation between Kakaru and Naho. They are kind of aligning, for lack of a better term, even though, you still got Ueda, and I'm sure she's not going to take it very well. They had a, falling out briefly when she knocked Naho on her ass in the hallway at school. And, of course, Ueda is very sort of possessive. She doesn't want Kakaru to talk to any other girls, especially this girl he's been so friendly with in Naho. And his own feelings for Naho, his friendship toward her, his feelings toward her. And it's one of those things where I have to believe she's, sort of feigning a naivete and wondering if her future self knows who it is that, Kakaru is interested in. He hasn't, revealed that. It's a secret, as he says, running away after having talked to her about being interested in someone other than Ueda-senpai. And I just have to wonder if that is Naho that he's talking about, and I have to wonder if Naho herself hopes, at the very least, but suspects that maybe that's who he's talking about, herself, that he's interested in. I mean, you never know. With a series like this, with all the questions that are hanging in the balance, that are up in the air at the moment, how do we know he might not be harboring an interest in, Suwa or the other the other male friend of theirs whose name I think is Hagita. Always escapes me because they don't really reference him that often. But I mean, how do we know he's not gay or bisexual? And that's something he has to confront. Maybe, if you really want to get into the deep sort of ramifications of someone who lives that way and a family who might not understand, maybe that's why Kakaru's mother killed herself, because she had that revealed to her, and she, felt like it was some kind of disgrace, which would add to Kakaru's own, feeling sort of down on himself and not being supported. And I mean, it's one of those things. I don't think that's really all that likely, given everything we've seen thus far. You never know. It's just a speculation I'm throwing out there that he could be gay or bisexual, and really having a hard time coping with that because he hasn't had support. He can't come clean about it, no pun intended. And but it could very well be that he is interested in Naho. He seeks comfort in her guidance and friendship, and that they are made for each other. And it's going to be, as it has been, just the ongoing question of, is this meant to be, or is it meant to fail? Will they save him? Will they fail to save him? Is this future that we keep catching glimpses of set in stone? Will Kakaru's death be forever unmendable? And will we see Suwa and Naho be the couple, in the future? Could it be a situation where Suwa and Naho are meant to be, even if they save Kakaru? Maybe we will see a future at the end of the series where Kakaru has survived, but he's with someone else, whether that's another girl in the group, Azusa or Takako, or someone else entirely. You never know. And that's what I love about this series. I'm completely out of the loop. I'm completely just drawn to the speculative nature of what exactly is going on, questioning everything, every character's motivation. I mean, how do we know Ueda is not going to come back with a vengeance, and it's something of her doing that sees Kakaru passing away, or something along those lines? Anything could really happen. And that's why I enjoy having the conversation with you guys in the comments below, and thus would love to hear what you thought of episode 4 of Orange, if you've seen it, if you have any further speculations or suspicions along the lines of how this is going to play out, whether you think, there's a rhyme or reason to the idea of Naho and Kakaru ending up together, or if you think that Manifest Destiny future with Suwa and Naho is set in stone and can never be undone. So yeah, I mean, another great episode. Can't wait to see where we go from here. Love to hear from you guys. Love having that conversation. Love it or hate it. Anything goes in the comments below. So yeah, otherwise that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.